So we're going to talk about manipulating your views, fine-tuning them so you can get them onto your sheets very nicely, right? And I'm going to try and probably illustrate maybe what is happening with your views, okay? And before I do that, let me delete a few of these off of these sheets that I've already placed. Let's see here. Okay, I'll delete that. Okay. Okay, well, let's start with, I'm going to create a new sheet and I'm going to call it cover sheet. So we can start with the cover sheet and how we go about adding a view to the cover sheet, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to put a 3D view on my cover sheet. And we kind of talked about what that meant last time. It meant that I can go to my default 3D view up here and I can cruise around until I find a beautiful view of my little house, right? I can turn off my section region and there's my a gorgeous view of my little house. Now, to save this view, because every time I hit this button right here and I move, it alters that view. To save that view, I'm going to come down here to this 3D option. That 3D is the default view I'm looking at now. I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate with detailing. And now this view is that view. So now if I go back to my default 3D and I buzz around here, right? And then now I can go back to copy to, right? And it still is in the same spot. Okay. So by copying this one, I get a copy here and it stays static. So I want to take this view, excuse me, and I want to put it on my cover sheet, right? So one thing you'll notice is that there's a scale down here, so I can change that if I need to. But I'm just going to drag it onto my cover sheet and see what it looks like. So I think I'm going to make this one my cover sheet. Oop. There we go, cover sheet. Okay. So now I want to put that 3D view on it. So I'm going to come over here, click on my copy to of 3D view, click and hold, drag it over, let go, click and place it. Okay. So that one came in very nicely actually, which doesn't always happen, but it's kind of tiny and maybe I want it larger. So I can engage the viewport while I'm on the sheet, just like I could in AutoCAD. Click, click. My scale pops up down here. And I could change it to like 1/4 of an inch. Click, click out. But in doing that, I kind of shifted it over to the side, right? So I could click on it, click and hold my mouse button, and I could drag it over to where it needed to be. Although even by doing that, it's still slightly too big for the sheet. Sorry, guys. So I'm seeing it overlap here, and I'm seeing it overlap here. Okay. So there's a couple things I can do. I can go back to my view, the actual view over here, and I can go in there and I can change my crop region to adjust how far this goes. Or I could activate my viewport again through the sheet, right? So I could click, click, and I could activate my view through the sheet. Now, to turn my crop region back on to see where it's at, I can come down here to crop view. It says, has a little X through it, which means don't crop view. I'm going to click on that to crop it, number one. And number two, I'm going to show my crop region. Okay, so now I can click on my crop region, click this, drag it in a little, make things look the way they should. Okay, when I'm done, I come back down here, hide my crop region, click out of the view, just like a viewport in AutoCAD, click on this view title and move it over. Okay, to move my view title, I just click on it and I can nudge it with my arrows or just move it around. Okay, if I want to lengthen it, I have to click on the viewport one time and then grab this little grip, click and hold, and drag it out. Escape, escape. So there's my GI001 sheet. Okay. Now if I want to put views on like my floor plan sheets or elevation sheets or different things like that, right? Let's talk about that. I'll place a few of these views on here. We'll start with A101. I'm going to change this to AE101. And we'll call this main level floor plan. Okay. I haven't seen him. He usually kind of comes back late, like 9:30, 10. Yep. So now I want to place a main level floor plan over here. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here to my level 1 floor plan. And I think I may have said this last time, but I generally like to tailor my views in the view first, and then I place them on the sheet, because if I place them on the sheet and they're messy, they might be messy, they might be kind of off center on the sheet, right? The view title is really large to, you know, to match the messy size of whatever's going on, right? And so I kind of like to go into my view first, and I like to alter it to make it look the way I want it to, then I place it on the sheet. Because I feel like it's a lot less work to do it this way than to have to alter it once it's on the sheet itself. Okay, so some things I kind of like to make a little list to check mark before I put things on a sheet. Really, you could just kind of run through these visual settings down here at the bottom of the screen. You can just look at those and run through those on every view and see what they're doing, right? So first thing, 1/4 of an inch is equal to a foot. You may not be able to test if 1/4 of an inch is equal to a foot is a good scale for this floor plan to fit on the sheet before you actually place it. But I would likely guess that an 1/8 inch is always too small for a floor plan, right? So we've already test run this, and we've seen that 1/4 of an inch is equal to a foot is fine, so scale, check. The next thing is detail level. Well, sorry guys. If my detail level is coarse, I don't have any detail in my walls. If I change it to medium, I get detail in my walls, and I'm seeing things the way they should be. So check, that's good, right? I'm going to look at my visual styles. Minus your cover sheet, which I don't mind if it's printed in shaded view. Every other drawing in your set, you will want to be printed in hidden line view. Okay, so I click on hidden line, check, right? Which would be noticeably different, like it says shaded, right? We don't want it to print like that. It'll print all gray shaded. So hidden line, check. I'm not going to worry about these two, the sun and the shadows, but I am going to look at cropping my view, right? Does it need to be cropped or not? Do I want to see things outside of this crop region or not? So I can, you know, check that or uncheck it to just see what's going on. Next thing is the crop region. This will turn it on and off so I can actually see it, number one, right? Because you may have it turned off and your drawing looks beautiful. When you do zoom extents, it centers nicely and you're like, oh, okay, it looks perfect. Now I'm going to drag it onto my sheet. But in actuality, right, that crop region is way too big for this drawing. It encompasses a lot of blank space out here, okay? And so it's nice just to turn your crop region on or off and see what's going on with it. So here I know it's way too big, so I'm going to click on it. All right, I'm going to drag it up. In this case, I really maybe just want to show my floor plan. Okay. But I really just want to make sure to get nice and snug in there so that my crop region acts sort of like a viewport does in AutoCAD, where the drawing is not necessarily the extent of kind of my visual range around this project. My crop region defines that. So if I drop my drawing onto a sheet and the crop region is gigantic, that viewport's going to be gigantic on the sheet, and I don't really want that, right? And so I'm going to drag my crop region in, make it kind of nice and snug, make sure that everything is viewable that I want to see, right? And then I'm going to come down and turn it off. It won't print if I leave it on, but I don't like seeing it, of course, right? So I always turn it off. So those are kind of the checklist of things that I sort of go through in my view before I place it on a sheet. And obviously my next step is going to be to come to my sheet, click, click, and I'm going to place that floor plan on my sheet now. Okay, so I click and I hold on my level 1, I drag it over, I let go, click, and I place it. Okay, and some things occur because I was very nice and neat about my view. Number 1, it is centered nicely on the page, right? Number 2, my view title is appropriately sized for my drawing. And it's appropriately sized because it extends from the beginning of the crop region to the end of the crop region. Okay. Let me just create an error here. If I had left all of those things where they were, right? This extended out way past here. This was kind of out here. It wasn't cropped maybe, right? Or the boundary wasn't cropping. And I come over now to my same sheet and I dragged my level 1 over, clicked and I let go, it would have done something like that, right? And at this point you're like, oh great, what do I do, right? How do I manage that? You can go back to the view and you can change it. Okay, that's step number 1, right? I drag my crop region in, I think, oh, I'm fixing it, right? And I think, oh yeah, I can crop that out, so I turn on my crop setting. Okay, now it's the way I want it to be. I'm going to turn off my crop region. Okay, it'll be perfect on the sheet now. But then you go back to the sheet and it's still slightly askew and the view title is still larger than it needs to be because the view title doesn't adjust itself. It still maintains that same length that the crop region was in the beginning, right? So if I make a mistake and I drag over a drawing too early and it doesn't fit and the view title is terribly long and doesn't line up with my drawing, I will remove this view from the sheet. I can click on it and hit delete and it deletes from the sheet. It doesn't delete from the drawing itself. It just takes that view and removes it from the sheet. If you're uncomfortable with the term delete, which I think we all are, right? I can click on it and I can right click and I can choose, let's see, remove, oh, I thought we had a remove view. Maybe we don't. Oh, I guess not. They've drawn a hard line there, right? Delete. Click on it, delete. Okay. That just takes the view off the sheet. It doesn't delete the view. It doesn't take anything out of your drawing. So now I could go back to my view, level 1, and I could turn my crop region back on. And I could alter it to whatever I wanted it to be, make it look nice and beautiful, snug this up a little bit so that it fits nicely. Turn that crop region back off, right? Go back to my sheet. There we go. Level 1. And click, and now everything is very nice again, right? So if you do make a mistake the first time, just delete it off and redo it and then drag it back over, right? That's what I do because it's a lot less work in my mind to delete it once and drag it back on than to, you know, change everything. Let's do that with some elevations. I'm going to go to AE201. I have a few elevations here, right? Let's start with the north elevation, okay? This is the north elevation for my project. Again, I'm going to run through my checklist of things down here that I want to visually change before I put it on the sheet. So is the scale appropriate? Yes or no? Is the coarseness level appropriate? Yes or no? Is it a hidden line view? Yes or no? I'm going to turn on my crop region and uncrop the view and take a look. This crop region looks pretty good. I might be able to drag it in just a tiny bit, right? But everything that needs to be shown is inside my crop region. So now I click to crop, I turn my crop region off and everything looks good. Okay. Some other things that could happen here, if the scale was maybe like 1/8 of an inch, you may have to clean up a little annotation, right? Maybe you have to take your annotation and drag it out just a little bit. Or maybe if you need to take, you know, some of your levels and elbow it. right? Usually, I mean, it's not easy to say, but a lot of times you come in and you're like, oh, they're overlapping. What do I do, right? I don't know what to do. I'm going to right click is maybe my first thing and I don't see anything. A lot of times if you click on it, right, it might reveal what needs to happen. So add an elbow, right? So you might need some annotation, but we know that, I'm going to hit undo. We know that this is supposed to be 1/4 of an inch is equal to a foot, so I've already kind of rearranged this to make that look nice. Okay, so I'm going to now hide my crop region and my elevation looks good. And I've gone to my east elevation and I've done that, right? Checked every one of these things. You know, and a little hint on my north elevation, if all of these settings work, 1/4 of an inch, coarseness level, visual style, then on the next one, they should all work, right? The next elevation should have the same scale. And the next one after that should have the same scale. So east looks pretty good. I will just, yep, looks good. Maybe I don't like how that section is kind of so tall, so I'll drag it down. So we have our south elevation. Oop, we don't want this one shaded, so hidden, here we go. I don't think I like all of these levels being so close to the building, so I'm going to drag those out just a tiny bit. Here we go. Turn my crop region off and on. Look at my west elevation. Same thing here, looks pretty good. Maybe drag my little section down and turn my crop region on and off. Looks good. Okay, then I go to my sheet and we'll call these, I probably crowded my sheet last time a little bit and I don't think I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to give this, these elevations 2 sheets. So AE 202 will also be, and there we go. So we'll get to 201. And I'm going to start dragging my views over. So north elevation, click and hold, drag. I'm going to place it nicely in the center, click. Right, and my east elevation, click and drag. Click, place, there you go. If I don't like how this is placed, I can nudge it with my arrows. You'll see me doing that a lot. I line up I kind of visually get these levels as close as I can to being lined up. Looks pretty close. And I go to 202. And I'm going to south elevation, pull my south elevation over. Click. I'm going to grab my west elevation, click and drag. Click on it if it doesn't quite line up, move it over. And again, if something had gone wrong, I could click on this one and hit delete, and it takes the view off the sheet, right? And I could go back and drag my west elevation back over. Click. There we go. Click, nudge it up with my arrows. Click, nudge it up with my arrows. Okay. Does that help somewhat with views? Was there anything else specific that wasn't working for you?
When I went into the garage and that, once these are on there, and say you draw more,
Uh-huh.
you just go back to the drawing and you can
Uh-huh.
get your view from going through to the bottom.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. No, and it's not,
you don't have
trust
to
me.
start all over again.
No, absolutely not. And this is not easy to remember, right? I say that like, oh yeah, you just kind of go through this checklist down here, right? But you do, the one thing is, first of all, you probably have done it once, and then you do a little more work, and in your mind, you've already done it, right? So you forget.
I went back there and I'm like, where am I?
What happened? Yeah, exactly. So that's a good and bad thing about Revit, right? it's view specific, so it kind of stays the way it was set up. And then you go and you draw more and you put it on a sheet and half of it's missing. You know, your crop region wasn't updated and you're like, no, I fixed my crop region, but you added more things or did something different. So, you know, and you just have to, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I've just in the habit, I know that anytime I make any change, sometimes even if I just add a section marker, that it might make things wonky, right? So I always go down here and I just check through these. The main thing is just checking your crop region, making sure that's correct. That'll solve a ton of issues, right? But yeah, you just have to constantly keep your eye on it, and that'll work. Does that help with views? Yep.
I also had a question about the roof plan for the garage dome.
Uh-huh.
Does it look awkward to me?
It's just simple. It's a box.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It's just a box. I know you're like, no, this shouldn't be this simple, right? It's just a rectangle. Yep. We're keeping it simple. That's all we have right now. Yep. Good. Let's see. Okay. So let's do this. Let's see if we can find, I'm going to go to Google here. Let me pull it over. And I'm going to type in, let's see if we can download something. Free PDF creator. I mean, I'd hate to get a virus doing this. Though I feel like Jameis could fix it anyways. Let's give him something to do tomorrow, right? Well, let's see. Maybe I can download some stuff on here. We'll try this. So Soda PDF, quick and free. PDF anywhere, creates PDF. Okay, that looks good. Free download. Let's see if it works. Okay, and I'm gonna get a thing that says yes. Next. And oh, it's installing in the background. So I'll just let that do its thing. I'm getting a little notification on my other screen that says Soda is installing in the background. So we'll let that do its thing. But if the Fox PDF creator didn't work, right, this would be my next route. Hold on, let's see how far it's gone. Okay, we'll just let that do its thing. So now it's time to print, right? I've created oh, something's happening. Like sucker, no, just kidding. Oh, you have to sign up. I don't want to sign up. I'm not going to do that. Skip. Create a free account to activate it in full. No thanks. Okay. Oh, this looks like it's. We'll see what it looks like in Revit. Anyway, so I've downloaded hopefully a free PDF creator. You could, PDF creator. Yeah, I was thinking FTP. Oh, we don't want to do that either. Sorry, it's asking to restart my computer. So hopefully that shows up as a PDF printer within my software. I mean, if it doesn't, just find another one that works. You can also buy Adobe, right? I bought Adobe because I want all the full functionality. But you do have to pay. It's like $15-20 a month for Adobe. So if you're using it all the time, then it's worth it. But if you're not, then it's probably not worth it. But now it's time to print, right? So I have my cover sheet created. I have my main level floor plan. I have my first exterior elevation sheet, my second exterior elevation sheet. In fact, I'm just going to create one more sheet while we're at it. So because I want to print just a few sheets to PDF for you guys. So I'm going to do AE. Did I have a basement on mine? We'll call this. Okay, basement level floor plan. Let's see, basement. I do have a basement, which, oh, good example, right? Because nothing is set. So 1/8 inch, I'm going to change it to 1/4. I'm going to change my coarseness level. I'm going to change my view, my visual style to hidden. Ooh, here's one tricky thing we didn't get on the other. This has an underlay on top of it. And that was so that I could draw the walls a little bit easier. So I look at that, and that is over here, the underlay, to none. Here we go. Okay. Then I'm going to turn my crop region on. Way too big. That would have caused a lot of issue. So I'm going to drag this in. And drag this in. Drag this in. I don't even like that section poking out because it will cause issue. There we go. Turn my crop region back off. And I'm going to drag this onto my sheet now. Basement level floor plan, click, click. Grab my basement, drag it over, click, and place it. Okay. So I have my my views, they're put on sheets, it all makes sense, everything looks good. It's time to print, and we're going to print a PDF that you could then post to Canvas. You could also take a PDF and print it with a plotter, right? Which you'll all do in offices. Likely not as much anymore. We don't print as much as we used to, but you'll need to know how to do it, so I'm going to show you. So now I'm just going to come up here and hit my little printer. I could type Control P, I could go to File, and I could go to Print, of course. So Print, okay. And I want to create a PDF. Now, Adobe is a purchase software. If you want to use it, you have to buy it, right? Or you can use it here for free. So, oh, there we go. Soda PDF Desktop 10. It probably, maybe it will let me, maybe it will let me print to it. I'm not positive, but we'll try. So I would choose whatever printer I want here. One of the main problems, not a problem, but just something different from AutoCAD than Revit, is that in Revit, we don't have a built-in PDF creator, right? We have the Microsoft one, but it doesn't always function, right? And so you're going to have to either purchase software to create PDFs or use, free stuff. If you have access to Bluebeam, Bluebeam will create PDFs. So if you have that, great. You can use that as well. To print, I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is make sure this says combine multiple selected views into a single file, because I want to create one PDF. All right. I'm going to click on Browse, and I'm going to browse to whatever folder I want to save this PDF that's going to be generated. I'm going to browse to wherever I want that saved. So we'll do AutoCAD. No, we're not in AutoCAD. Final Project. Revit Final Project. Save. I'm going to set up what I want to print, what sheets I want to print. So I'm going to click on Select Views. Select. Here I'm going to uncheck View because I don't want to see all of these views. I want to see the sheets only. So now I come here and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to select all of those. Okay. I'm not going to save these. And now that I know what sheets I want to print, I'm going to choose what size I want them to be. So I'm going to click on Setup here. These are going to be an arch size D. Now here's another thing that's a little bit tricky. So the size of your pages that are shown here directly correlate to the printer you've chosen to print with, right? And what that means is that some printers have limitations, like this plotter, this little printer over here can only print 11 by 17 and 8.5 by 11. So if I choose that to print, I only get those two options, basically those two options. With a PDF, it's usually unlimited because you can print most sizes, but this is a little bit of a weird, I'm using the Soda PDF, that free one. And I mean, it basically has everything else, Japanese, number 2 envelope, whatever that's called. Oh, there they are finally, right? Arch size D. Okay, so below all those weird sizes that we don't know what they mean, there's finally our arch size D. You can also I believe it's an ANSI D is 22 by 34. You could have used that. But the Arch D is fine, or if you could have found 36 by 24, 24 by 36, that would have been fine as well. Okay, so I've chosen my size. Center. Instead of fit to page, though, I want to choose zoom to 100% of the size. If I choose fit, it will slightly take that whole sheet and make it a tiny bit smaller, scale it down to the itsy bitsy amount to make it fit on the sheet even better than it already would have, according to Revit, right? But by doing that, you unscale your objects. So if you use a ruler and measure them, they won't be the correct size. So I'm going to choose zoom 100%, but in doing that, it toggles me from center to offset. Okay, so I'm going to choose center again. Landscape, I'm going to hit OK. And again, this is the worst thing about Revit. It toggles things. After you change them, it will toggle them back, right? So it changed it to create separate files. Well, I don't want to create separate files. I want to create one. Okay, everything looks really good. So now I hit OK. And we'll cross our fingers and hope that did work. Oh no, here we go. It says, great, where would you like to save it? Again, it asks me a second time. Well, we'll do it under Desktop, Final Project, Save. Okay. Didn't work. Let's look at it. What is wrong? I already don't like this PDF creator. Selected views. We got all our views selected. Setup. Arch D, center, zoom 100% of the size. Oh, I know what I did. Sorry guys, don't pay any attention to me. I didn't create mine the right size. Like you all would have. Okay. All right. Ideally, this will work. I hit OK. Yes. Revit does have one tiny little hang up. That work? Just one. Just one. I know, right? At least I generally know what the quirks are, though, right? So what I'm about to do here sometimes works and sometimes doesn't in the newer versions of Revit. And what I'm about to do is I realized I had a mistake on my PDF, and so I thought, oh, I need to fix it and resave it, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want to save another file. I'm just going to save it over the top of the one I just created, so I don't have two files in there with different names. It's wasteful. I don't want to go back and delete the other one, right? So sometimes if I click on that and I hit save and it says, would you like to replace, and I hit yes, it works. Okay, that worked wonderfully, right? But, and I don't know if it's Adobe or Revit, because that magically worked really quickly, right? But every now and again, you'll get a little box up here that says printing, 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 and it freezes, and it will just wait forever, right? And I found that to solve that, when it gets frozen like that, the cause that I have found is that you've saved over the top of an existing Adobe file. So if that ever happens to you when you're creating your PDFs, just cancel out, resave it, and give it a brand new name, right? Something totally different than the original file. Usually that takes care of it, but in the weird instance where it doesn't, which can happen, save it in a different location with a different name. So out of that total file that the original was saved in, save it completely different spot, new name, and that will usually do the trick. Okay. Okay, so I have my PDF created and it looks wonderful. I'm going to come over here to my pages and take a look at it. Everything looks really great except except for one thing. My cover sheet's all the way here at the bottom. We don't like that. We like the cover sheet to be first. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, and again, this might be tricky if you don't have purchased Adobe, and I don't know a solution to this. I mean, maybe the reader will let you do it. This is the reader, so. But what I want to do now is reorder my pages so that this is the first one, okay? So I'm going to click and drag It won't let me in Reader. Shoot. Oh wait, maybe organize pages. Yeah, but I should be able to drag it up. Let me open this in a pro version of Adobe. Let's see. Final project. See, with the pay version, you get all these fancy perks. You can drag these pages and just reorder them, which is really nice. It doesn't look like you can do that with the free version. So, and I don't know how you could manipulate that with the free PDF Creator software. So that's one downfall to not having Adobe. But you have your cover sheet, right? Basement level floor plan looks good. Main level looks good. Exterior elevation 1 and 2 looks good. File, save as, and I'm going to save this, or I'm just going to hit save. Looks wonderful. Okay, so I've gotten really far. I have all my drawings on sheets and they look wonderful. Now it's time to print, right? And let me just hold on. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go start up the OSE real quick. Okay, so I just started the OSE up and I'll show you what I did to start it up. But now my task will be to take this PDF and print it physically. Okay, so I want to talk about that. And to do that, I'm going to plug in my little zip drive here. And I'm just going to show you the easiest way to go about it. Okay. You can print to the OSE from any of these lab locations, right? It's a network computer. It's on the network. So it does work generally to print from here. 1 second. Is that it? Plug that in, right? It's not wanting to recognize. Of course. There we go. So I have a memory stick here and I'm going to save my project onto this memory stick. Okay, so file, save as. I'm going to browse to my computer, choose a different folder, memory stick, Revit final project, save. Okay. And I'm going to print from the memory stick. I could print to the OSE from here. File, print. It is the Plotwave 500. Okay. And I'm just going to hit, let's see. Mm, 3x42 fit. We'll just do that. I'm gonna hit print here. Here's the problem. I just sent it to the OSE, and it pretends like it's printing. It's very deceptive, and pretty sure it's called the Plotwave. So you think, okay, I just sent it to the Plotwave. That's great. It's gonna print it out for me. And then you, right about this point, I'd probably get bored, and I would get out of my chair and I'd walk over to the print room, right? I'm expecting something to happen. I'm pretty sure it's going to. If I didn't get up at that point, I would have gotten up by now and walked over there. And I would have left my station. It's thinking about it. Come on. Make sure I sent it to the right one. Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, there was an error. I just got an error that said it can't print to it. But what will normally happen is you'll get this gigantic dialog box on your screen, and it will have about 8,000 settings on it, and it will be like, would you like it to be scaled? Would you like to rotate it? Would you like it to print black and white? Would you like it to print image quality? I mean, there's just hundreds of settings in this dialog box. And really, they're not that terrible to navigate, but there's just so many of them. And the main setting that you need to get right is whether it's rotated landscape or portrait, because if you rotate it the wrong way, it'll print like portrait style instead of landscape, and then you'll have a bunch of drawings that you'll have to trim, you know, several inches of paper off to get to be the right size, okay? I don't like that. I feel like it's too difficult. So a better solution for me is to take this and to save it onto my memory stick, okay? And I'm going to grab my memory stick. But I mean, there's going to be other times in other classes where you'll have to print full size or even half size, right? And that's where you're going to want to do it, essentially. So I just wanted to show you how to print. Let me just see. I want to do this one more time and see if I can get it to connect. Oh, I bet it will now because it was probably just turned off. Let's see what happens. I go over there to let it warm up. By the time I get back, it's already turned up. Ah, there it is. So this little guy turns up, right? And you're looking at it thinking, okay, well, any loaded roll? Well, I mean, I have probably the 18-inch and the 36-inch loaded, so I'm going to click there. And I'm going to pick the 36. And then the layout, 1:1, yes. Image with CAD. It's pure CAD. Top delivery tray, yes. I don't want it sorted. I only want one copy. Here's just, let's see. Layout. Show more. Okay. So here's where it gets a little bit more tricky, right? So 42 long by 30 inches wide. And you're like, what size are my drawings? And how do they fit within that dimension, right? Is this the 24 or the 36? No, this is a 36. My drawings are landscape in my Adobe PDF. Do I need to rotate them, right, to get them to print proportionally on this piece of paper? Even me, I will sit here and just think about it. And what I don't like about it is that the Yosei prints so quickly that when you hit go, if you've made a mistake, by the time you go in there, 50 pages have printed, right? And you're trying to cancel it out and get it to stop, and it won't stop. So here we've got media type, positioning. Oh, here it is, rotation, right? Rotation, you could say, well, I don't want it to rotate. Well, then it's telling you it's gonna get clipped. Okay, well, I do want to rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, that's great. I think that fits. And I somewhat am confident that it will work, and I have to hit OK after that. And then it sends it over there. Whereas when I just went over there and I plugged it in, it automatically just reads the size, and it's way easier. So we're just, you know, we can do that. Maybe I'll keep that thought to myself. I'll think about it for a minute. Okay, so any questions on how to print to the Yosei? It's pretty simple. All right, I want to talk about our final project. I'll go over that, and then we'll call it a night. Revit. So for your final project, you are going to be copying a set of drawings, and it's called the wireless switch, okay? And the wireless switch is 2 levels. It has a main level and an upper level. It's a CMU block building. It has a staircase in it. And essentially, it was a little, oh, I haven't even published it. Here we go. It was actually a tiny little cell phone store that they made a gigantic addition to, okay? So the wireless switch, let's see, here's the drawings and here's the checklist. So the drawings show you actual graphic drawings you're going to copy, and the checklist is a list of instructions of things that you'll need, okay? So I think it's 3 pages long. We'll go over that. the actual drawings, I'm going to click on that and download those as well. Okay, you're not going to do everything in this drawing set. I've really narrowed it down, so it's just the basic building essentially. I've never actually checked to see, oh, this is in Roosevelt, Utah. That's far away, isn't it? Down south. I don't even know if this, I would assume it was actually built. What?
Roosevelt?
Yeah, where's Roosevelt?
It's out east by Vernal.
Oh, is it out by Vernal?
Yeah,
Okay.
back and forth.
Okay. See, I've never been there. I don't know. Too far. Who goes to Vernal? Oh, yeah, that is true. We do go to Flaming Gorge. That is a good point. My little girls wanted to go out and see the dinosaurs, but okay, so what I want you to do is you'll need a cover page, and then you're going to draw. These are slightly, I feel like, misordered, so maybe this is how their firm does it, which is fine, I guess, but we don't usually start with building sections, right? So it's a little bit misordered, but here are the building sections, right, which are pretty easy to generate using Revit. You have the floor plan, so here's the upper level, here's the lower level, main level, and really what you're going to be drawing, oh dang it, sorry guys, I forget I'm viewing this in the browser. Don't worry about this piece, don't do that piece, there or there. What I want you to draw is just this box, this square CMU box, right, and there's a little vestibule in the front. Okay, so you have an exterior shell that's CMU with gypsum board wallford out, and then you have some interior walls that partition the space off, right? You have a stairway, men and women's restrooms, a little hallway, custodial. The upstairs is identical in footprint. You have an office, and a lab, same stairway, same spot, custodial, women's, men's, same spot, right? A little hallway, but they're very identical. Okay, so I've crossed out things that you don't need to worry about drawing, obviously, but I do want to include this entire set because what's useful about this drawing set is that, for example, you know, there's wall types shown where you're looking at this and you're thinking, what is this wall made out of? Well, you can look through the drawing set and you can see what that's made out of, right? I can look here, that's not the exact same one, but I can look here and I can say, oh, that wall is gypsum board with a metal stud and gypsum board on the other side, right? So you can look things up in the set that maybe you would guess at otherwise. So that's why I kind of left the entire set. We'll go through these a little bit more in class. What are the door sizes? Oh, let me go look, right? Here's some more details I don't think you'll have to worry about. Don't worry about drawing any of this stuff, right? There's some interior elevations of the bathroom for reference. And here's a ceiling plan. The ceiling plan is very simple. You have lay-in ceiling here with a few lights hosted, lay-in with a few lights. I feel like these may look a little more complicated than normal, even though I wouldn't get too hung up on that because the annotation makes it look more detailed than it is, right? You're not going to do all this detail level. I'm just interested in you getting the drawings done. Roof plan, flat roof, very easy. And then the building sections. And again, the building sections are going to be generated very quickly with your building section tool. They don't have to be this detailed. They'll just be basic outlines. And I'll start going over this on Wednesdays. And I think once I get you started on it, it'll feel a lot less terrible. Maybe. And I'm not going to make you do this back stair. So it's just really a square CMU box with a stairway in the center, right? Okay, so those drawings, if you want to print them out, you can print them out so you have a physical copy, but they're online. And then here's our checklist. Okay, so I have put the sheets that you want to generate in red, right? And I've given you some hints on different things, right? So for example, you're going to print your PDF to 22 by 34. We're going to create a PDF here. David's over there having a party in his office. This is the data for the title block. Okay, The cover sheet, GI001, that's what it's going to be named. Cover sheet GI001. You're going to put a 3D view on it, and we'll go over the adding a vicinity map to that. I'm going to show you how to do that Wednesday, or maybe even Monday. First and second level floor plans, AE101 and AE102. Scale should be the same as in the wireless switch example set. The detail level is fine. Set your view to have a cropping region. Show all interior walls, doors, windows, plumbing fixtures, and basic architectural elements. Furniture is optional. For those rock stars out there, they get everything done and want extra credit. You can add furniture. So I've given you some extra credit options at the end if you want to do that, more drawing. Add room tags in each room, tag all doors and windows, dimension with 3 strings on each wall line, meaning on the outside of the building, put dimensions, right, just around the perimeter of the building. First and second level reflected ceiling plan, AE 103 and 4. You're going to do the ceiling plan, right? Roof plan, AE 105, do the roof plan. I'll let you read through this. And again, we're going to start drawing this on Wednesday, so I won't go into huge detail just yet, but we'll get there. You're going to draw one enlarged bathroom floor plan. Not a lot of detail on it other than to get it onto a sheet and create an enlarged plan, and draw 4 interior elevations, so of the bathroom. Those will be on AE 106. You'll have the 4 building elevations, right, which again, all of these are sort of inherently created when you draw the building shell. Building sections, we'll add 2 of them. They won't be detailed, they'll just be blocked out. You'll just use the section tool and make it visually nice on your sheet. A wall section sheet, and we'll do, I think I have you doing 1 wall section, and then adding 3 details to that wall section. So call out 1, call out 2, call out 3. Again, no detail, you're really just creating views at this point and putting them on sheets. For all of the rooms, the annotation, you'll want to have a room tag in each room, the dimensions all the way around the floor plan, grid lines. Every view will have a view title on your sheet. Make sure your drawings are lined up, nice and neat on the drawing sheets, and neatness counts. Now, if you want some extra credit, I think I only had you do 2 exterior elevations. Yeah, choose the best 2 elevations, right? You can add more exterior elevations, which means adding 2 more views essentially to a sheet, right? They're already drawn, just adding them to a sheet. Add more wall sections, add more interior elevations, add more details to your, whatever. Create more complete leaders and notes on your wall sections. Create a furniture plan if you'd like. Turn your project in early. If you turn your project in by the 7th, December 7th, I'll give you 10 points extra credit, and that's 10% of this project.
It's 100 points.
It's 100 points, yeah. So it's 10% of your grade, kind of a nice bump. And add the back exterior stairway if you wanted to. So if you want to add more detail, if you're kind of working through it pretty good, right, you want to add more detail, then the more things that you add, the more extra credit you can get, okay? I think this will work well as sort of just a little shopping list. You can check all the things off of it. And there's probably some mistakes. I tried to go over it as best I could, but there's likely some mistakes. But the intent with this, I don't want you to get hung up on adding all of the annotation or all the notes that are on that drawing set. I just want the basic architecture drawn, right? So grids, the architecture, the walls, the doors, the windows, the plumbing fixtures, right? We want that basic shell drawn. And I think it'll just give you one more really good chance to work through all the tools together and hopefully solidify a Revit skill set in your brain, right, forever. So I think and I get it, you look at the drawing set, you think, gosh, it's so complicated, gosh, there's so much on there. Don't worry about all that stuff. Just get the basic architecture drawn, okay? Any questions on any of this so far? Okay, so I think what I might add actually to the extra credit is to print a half-size set. So print, we're doing 22 by 34, so, well, we'll do 12 by 18. So that the half-size roll in there, I'll add to here extra credit, print it to the 12 by 18. which will mean you'll have to bring me the printed set on Monday. So I'll be here all day that next Monday, the 10th. I have some other projects that are being turned in that day, so I'll be in my office for most of the day. So you can just come anytime. We don't have class that day, so I won't be here late, but I'll probably be here till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So you can just come to my office and drop that off. I'll add that to the extra credit. Okay. Any questions so far? Speechless, huh?
Give you the set on the 10th?
On the 10th, the printed set. You'll need to have it posted on the 9th, and then you can come in on Monday and print it if you want. Yeah. All right, well, we'll start drafting it on Wednesday then in class. How does that sound? Sounds like